stop the seal, stop the seal, stop the seal, stop the Emmy seal. That's right. We're here today to stop that Emmy seal. Now, listen, I already know that the awards happened, but just like those wonderful Patriots on January 6th, we're going to march up to Lancashire in Los Angeles, California, and we're going to make sure that none of them people, Hollywood folks, get their Emmy awards, and we're going to take back the Emmys and we're going to give them the shows that deserve them. All right? We're going to take it from The Crown and give it to, what's a show that's like The Crown? May I Destroy You? I May Destroy You. We're going to stop the seal and we're going to make sure that the best shows get the Emmy statues they deserve. Stop the seal. Stop the seal. And as you can see, I did the bare minimum for this cold open. Stop the seal. Stop the seal.
It's news time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the Emmy news you didn't know about. Emmys, Emmys, Emmys. So much to talk about. Winners, losers, Conan O'Brien. They're all there. For the first time since last year's show, this felt like a celebration of television. If you recall, we were all trapped inside thanks to that dastardly coronavirus. Shows were stopped partway through their seasons. We weren't sure if they'd get to finish them, let alone have them be awarded gold statues. The Television Academy figured it out. Truthfully, they did the best they could given the circumstances. The show wasn't an award winner itself, but come on, you try to throw a lavish affair during a pandemic. See? You can't. You loser, you'll never be good at anything. One big problem with this year's awards that was supposed to be rectified in the past of a couple of years was only partially fixed while also developing a huge step backwards for the Television Academy entirely. You've heard the story before. You can probably guess where it's going. In all major fields, i.e. the ones shown during the primetime broadcast and not the creative arts shows, there was nary a colored nor differently abled soul on that stage as a winner. I'm partially lying. Michaela Cole won a writing statue and RuPaul won for a competition program, but they were the only ones. Otherwise, every other Emmy went to the Karens of the Crown, who I'm sure used the pandemic as an excuse not to appear in person at the event while throwing their own party in London where they were awarded their trophies, away from all the darkies in LA, and as well as Hacks, which is just a bad show. How does something like this happen after 5 years of so-called improvement? The online campaign #OscarsSoWhite, which is stupid, sounds stupid, and oh yeah, is stupid, changed how the Television Academy accepted new members, voting parameters, and even how networks make shows. Even CBS, once the whitest network that catered to the whitest section of America, middle, said it is going to cast 50% of its reality shows with people of color. Even better, it followed through, and now we're about to have a black Big Brother winner. And Bob Hart's Abishola is still very, very good. To understand how the Television Academy and Emmy voting works, you have to take a look at how shows compete. And if you have a show like, say, an online entertainment business news show that's been running for close to a decade, then you can submit the show for an Emmy. All for one easy payment of $225 or $425, depending on if you're an individual or show entity. Individual actors get to submit one episode, while shows get to 6. Networks usually handle that. Then, about 20,000 Television Academy voters in 29 different peer groups, directors, writers, yada yada yada, vote for the big categories such as Best Limited Series, while peers can only vote for the specialized categories. Writers vote for writing. Like this script. It writes itself. I'm just kidding. This is really hard to write and I want some recognition. Is that too much to ask? Side note, in a bid for more diversity, the Television Academy added 683 new members to its ranks in 2016, then followed up the next year with 774 more members. The numbers grew to be too big, so they were considering thinning the herd in the fall of 2019, only for the herd to thin itself in the middle of 2020. Back to the main story. Once submissions are in and votes are tallied, the shows, episodes, actors, and whatever else that were voted on the most become nominees. Voting rules have changed since 2016. Yeah, 2016. They basically change every year. There's a 35-page rule book you can download provided by the Emmys that I'm sure is quality reading. The idea of it all is voters indicate their top choice, meaning anything with the most numbers wins. The more the nominees, the lower the percentage you need to win. This sounds convoluted, but it's supposed to be better than the previous system that was more reminiscent of the ranked choice voting in the recent New York mayoral race that I cannot believe Gritty did not win. Ooh, what's that? Philadelphia? The cheesesteak state? Anyone who voted during the first round of nominations gets to vote during the final round. The votes are then sent to Ernst & Young, the accounting firm that puts on the show. Bunch of nerds. There's also a whole online voting section created in an effort to make voting easier. It's largely the same, but electronic. So far, that this all sounds complicated and insane, and it is, yet maybe there's a way to fix it. Perhaps it requires going back to the original system of voting. Shows like Ted Lasso and The Crown garnered a majority of the nominations, not just because they're good, but because they're popular. But Ted Lasso is also good, not The Crown. They're going to get recognition no matter what, whereas shows like What We Do in the Shadows and the oft-disregarded Always Sunny go unloved by the Television Academy because they don't have the buzzy blitz behind them that others do. By going back to the old system, it opens up the possibility of more varied nominees, including those who are of color or differently abled or of the LGBTQ community. You thought I forgot about the thesis of this episode, and I did, but I'm back, baby! As I stated previously, the rules change all the time. Whole histories have chronicled the topic. Speaking of history, now is probably the time to look back and see what worked and what didn't from Emmy's past. The numbers of members may have greatly increased, but common thinking is the same. The most popular shows are going to get the most recognition under the current voting parameters. In order for diversity to grow, more has to be done outside of asking diverse members to join the voting ranks. Only then can the Emmys truly be the melting pot it wants to be. What I'm saying is, please, vote for News Time for Outstanding Short-Form Comedy, Drama, or Variety Series next year. I need to win! Speaking of winning, why don't you win by subscribing and checking out one of our other videos? Of course, you can head to the website cpluscomedy.com where there are so many interviews with your favorite comedians that you'll go, oh, this guy should win an Emmy. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at @CPlusComedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And Ernst & Young, I know I called you nerds, but come on, nerds. It's time to pay up.